Hi, guys. This is me, Yami Walfred, your host of It Was Never Personal with Yami Walfred. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was never personal. It has always been about love, laughter, role playing, awareness, music, dance, not taking the ego too seriously, not taking life too seriously. It has always been about really learning that this is a dream, an illusion that we get to co create. We get to co create, honey. We are creators. We get to co create with a higher power, which is higher than us, but is actually within us, okay? Yeah. So it is all about really realizing that we get to co create with this power, and therefore it was never personal. Tune in to get inspired, motivated, and mostly importantly, find ways to love yourself and do so with laughter and joy. Today's episode will focus on all about balance. It is all about love, balance, blah, blah. Yeah. So today we'll be talking about balance, but specifically on the masculinity and femininity polarities, which are not balanced, Like, really look at this part. Look at our society. Look at yourself right now. Look at um, the civilization present right now and on how it really views femininity and masculinity. These two polarities are not yet at balance, In some people, or maybe in the East, will may refer to them as the yin and the yang, but I'll really talk about them as the femininity and masculinity energies, which both of which all of us possess at the same time. Just that I, as Wilfred, I would have more of the feminine energy um as compared to the masculine energy, but I have the masculinity in me as much as I have the femininity in me. Just that the femininity is really more in me, So even as boys, or let me say, conventionally or usually boys are really born with are really born having the masculinity energy more compared to the feminine energy, but they do have the feminine inside of them, just that they get to be it gets to be really cut down when they really get to realize that in the matrix or in the society, the status quo, you do not really express the feminine energy. Why? Because it was suppressed. It has been seen as a weakness to actually express your feminine side. Even some women really do believe in that, unconsciously, though, it's never really something that you do consciously, whereby you are a man or you're a woman and you say, you know what, I'm going to suppress this thing. No, it just happens. It's like a program. It really runs on autopilot. But if you are aware of it, then as a gay boy, as myself, you would be aware that, oh, okay, I'm a boy. I'm born as a female. Okay, this is a concept, but I have much more of a feminine energy inside of me, right, as compared to the masculine energy. So I'm embrace whatever that I have right now. I'm going to allow it to be, so then you do not really suppress your thing. Oh, they exist in balance. It's fine, it's okay. You see, so today I'm going to really talk about that balance of the feminine and the um f- masculine energy. So like we always say conventionally, we live in a masculine in a message. I do not know how to pronounce that word. And message as what message? I don't know. Like we're like yeah, we live in a male dominated society. Our culture is very tainted and supervised and run by males. It's run by the masculine energy. But this is really bad, or it's not really good for us on a very wide and deeper context, because like I said, we have each one of us has the feminine and the masculine energy. So then it happens that because we are run by, or this society is really run by male supremacy or the masculine energy, we then therefore find ourselves from a young age really suppressing the feminine within us so much bad that even these people who are females and have feminine energy really being of a higher supremacy, gay boys who are feminine having the feminine energy of as that one of a higher supremacy, they then suppress that. They suppress who they are in order to actually get their checks paid, to get their mortgages, to really get moving on and have the money and the so-called success that we as people really want to strive for. Why? Because actually, if you want to really get going, you have to do it in a more bossy, a more aggressive, a more masculine way. You don't have to do it in a femme way, you know? It's not really going to get you forward in this society. But is that really true? Is that really fine for us? Is that really something which is healthy? I mean, first of all, the loss of balance means that everything is really out of check. You cannot really talk about anything positive coming out of it. Oh, you may get the success, you may get whatever, but have you really fulfilled yourself, or have you fulfilled what you really came here to do? Are you really aware? Are you really letting um the needs of your soul be fully accomplished by your personality, or are you rather allowing your personality to really take over? And your personality, I mean your ego. And then now it gets to be like, oh no honey, this world is really egocentric, it's very ego dominated. Just like I said, it's really masculine driven because we have suppressed the feminine energy. So that is what we're going to talk about today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, it was never personal. It was never personal. So today I'm really going to take some notes from a book that I really love, and I feel like everybody should be reading this book, but I'm not really trying to really whatever. But I feel like you should read it. Read it because it's very important. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. So I'm going to quote some words from it and really explain what he means and what I get, and really join that with what I understand, you know. So the suppression of feminine principle, especially over the past 2,000 years, has enabled the ego to gain absolute supremacy in the collective human psyche, you know. Meaning that you, like I said, this society of ours, which is really about gaining more, really having more power, whatever, it used the ego really used the suppression of the feminine energy to actually get its needs met. Because why? It comes as femininity, really, like I was saying, in the Eastern is like the yin, you know, which means that it's receptive, you know, it's open, it's vulnerable, as compared to the masculine energy, which is like the yang, which is closed, which is not vulnerable, which is so capsulated, so much that nothing can really enter in. And nothing, I mean that energy of love and whatever. So then now it is therefore making sense that the ego would really excuse me, would really take the root of the masculinity, would really use masculinity to actually bring down, or really, yeah, bring down the feminine principle in order to get its needs met. And its needs, um which are really based on and founded on fear, founded on separation, founded on superiority, founded on the need to be powerful, you know. So those ones are really met more easily using the masculine energy, or in the male form compared to the female form, you know. I'm not saying that women do not have egos, but I'm just saying that women are less mind identified than men. They're more in touch with their inner body and the intelligence of the organism, where the intuitive or the inner voice faculties originate. Because, like I said, females are receptive. Females, or the feminine energy rather, is receptive. Because if I say females are, is then like, oh, males are not. But then I'm saying, no, the feminine energy is more receptive, you know. And as we find the feminine energy more, or really it is really on the extreme ends, on a female, or on a person who has feminine things, you know, and then we label them as gay or whatever, who's a femboy or whatever, then they're more like less minded, less mind identified with our body. But this is the thing, like I said, all of us have both the masculine and the feminine energy. It's just that we have them at different extremes. Males are more in the masculine energy and females are more on the feminine energy. Therefore, it makes sense that if the ego wants to really bring down the feminine energy, it has to really attack women, you know. So now this really has led to something which has happened during a period of 300 years ago. Between 3 and 5 million women were tortured and killed by the quote and unquote Holy Inquisition, an institution founded by the Roman Catholic Church to suppress heresy. This surely ranks together with the Holocaust as one of the darkest chapters in human history. If you know the Holocaust, whereby these Jewish people were really killed, yeah, it really ranks as much as that the quote and unquote Holy Inquisition. So it was during this period, it was enough for a woman to show a love for an animal, walk alone in the field or woods, or gather medicinal plants to be branched as a witch, you know, to be labeled as a witch and then tortured and burned at that stake. Do you get what that means? Like it was enough for a woman to show love to an animal, be it a cat or whatever, to walk alone in the fields taking a walk, or gather medicinal plants to be branched and labeled as a witch. Therefore, because it's a witch, then they are tortured and burned at that stake. So the sacred feminine was declared demonic. I mean, right now, even in Botswana, you usually hear people say, "O kila bona kae, moloi wa monna." Like, where have you ever seen a witch who is a man? It's like all witches are females. I mean, now I get, when I read this, I was like, now I get what they mean. And it makes so it's like what because usually when people say that I'm like, what do you mean? Like it doesn't even make sense. But then okay, I'll just let it slip. But then getting to really know what happened over a period of 300 years ago, whereby now over a period of 3 years, 300 years, I mean, whereby 3 to 5 million women were killed for just being receptive, for being loving, for being vulnerable, for connecting. All because if they did that, they will be labeled as a witch. And then now, so many years later, we have people, both males and females, saying, "Have you ever seen a witch Oh, have you ever seen a witch who is a man? Oh, witches are females." Oh, okay, now it makes sense. So the sacred feminine was declared as demonic and an entire dimension largely disappeared from the human experience, you know? And therefore now, women's status was reduced to being child bearers and men's property. I mean, that is what people say right now. It's crazy when I meet a lady, or maybe one of my friends who's a girl says, I just want a man to fulfill my needs and I just want to stay home. I just want to be provided. I belong to my man. Like they're saying that unconsciously. Why? Because of this that happened. This suppression of the feminine principle actually led to women's statuses being reduced to being a child bearer and men's property. And this is really evident right now. We know it. I don't even have to really give examples. We know it. You know it. Yeah. And again, males who denied the feminine in them. Like I said, be it a male or a female, we both have the masculine and the feminine energy. So then now this led to males denying their feminine energy or entity within themselves to be able to run the world because I mean the world was out of balance. We've killed the feminine. So many females were killed. I mean, if you see someone being killed for being who they are, and you are like, but I do identify, or I am just like that person, you are then therefore, um, it's really in your instinct. your instinct, or it's really like a spontaneous reaction to actually now hide yourself. So females would really now dim down their femininity, in order to not be killed. I mean, that's just an obvious thing, an obvious reaction. But then also men were like, okay, to really get going on here, I have to really now identify with this masculine energy inside of me, which is already high, but then I don't I wonder what happened to gay boys just like me, but I think I know what happened. They also really just did what they did, which is still doing what they do right now, because a lot of gay men are really closeted, because guess what? Being feminine is deemed as weak, is an act of treason, but we'll get to that later. So then a question can be, who was responsible for this fear of the feminine, you know, that could only be described as an acute collective paranoia. I mean, we could say that men were responsible, but I mean, men were not responsible, because in ancient pre-Christian civilizations such as the Egyptian, women were respected. I mean, talk about Cleopatra, Henny, they were respected, and the feminine principle was not feared but revered. It was honored, Yes, rather than being feared, because what is happening right now is just the fear of the feminine energy. And what you fear, you fight. What you fear, you resist. But what you resist will always persist. I love it so much, So then the thing is that the evolving ego in man, which knew that it can gain full control of the planet only through the male form, did so. Because, I mean, if it's easy for you to gain power through the masculine energy, which is already present and dominant in males as compared to females, then it makes it so easy for the ego to actually possess the males who are dominated by the masculine energy, which is closed, not vulnerable, not receptive, and do what? And suppress that of the feminine energy. So you see, it's not like the man, but it's the ego. And by the ego, I mean just that mind-made self entity. It's just that thought that you have in your head right now, a story that you have about yourself, but we'll get to that later. So in time, the ego also took over most women. You know, it also took over most women, although it could never become as deeply entrenched in them as in men. So the ego taking over most women is actually even present right now. I mean, you see, there's ladies who are very, very scared to be feminine, to be women, to be, I mean, okay, I get it. What is women? Women is just the name that we gave, but to just express who they are, to be as as feminine as they can, to put on those nails, to put on those high heels. But females would rather do what? Put on a suit. Uh-oh. They would rather become aggressive. They would rather become something which is totally of a masculine energy. Why? Because I mean, to really get it going on this life, on this society, to get the money, you have to put on a suit. So I do not blame them, but I mean, now it really shows that it didn't only um the ego didn't only partake or possess most males, but it actually now possessed also females. You get to the church and females are actually, oh, submissive. But I'm not really going over there right now. I'm not going over there, because that's a really sensitive topic to the ego. So now we have a situation in which the suppression of the feminine has become internalized in even in most women. Women are suppressing their feminine thing, just like a gay boy who's actually feminine and suppressing it, and just, it's crazy. It's crazy. And we know these things, we know these things, you know? Yeah. So the sacred feminine, because it is suppressed, is felt by many women in emotional pain. Therefore, now we can really actually talk about emotional pain in women. But I'll just stop over here from the book. The things that I've been telling you and explaining are just available on A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, which I feel like it's a very interesting book. I'm going to really actually read it again. So that is that what I had for the first segment. Now, you can see we can now I've just given you why I think or why I really believe or one of the reasons why the feminine energy has been suppressed, why there's a misbalance, why there is a loss of balance between the masculine and the feminine energy or principle, why males are more dominating, why the world is called a male dominated society, our culture. So then now, whenever I see whenever I see a culture of men, a group of men who are afraid to show any type of femininity at all, and it's there. We know those men who are really like, I do not cry. I don't, I don't, I'm like, what is saying sorry? I don't follow, like being so aggressive and whatever, It's not like it doesn't exist. We know that there's exists and it's in everyone, but it's very sad. I mean, you see a group of you see a group of guys who are just going with the swaggy work and it's all this and that. You see that they're so afraid. When I see them, I know that this is just fear. This is just being afraid to actually express whatever that you have in. They're just putting on this affectation that really just says of how afraid they are, but I feel for them bad for them because you can never really know yourself if you do not really know all parts of yourself. If you're actually afraid of actually experiencing some parts of yourself, you know, I feel like we really need to really sit down and really talk to our boy kids, talk to our gay kids, talk to our girl kids about the ring thing, you know. Now, going back to where I really wanted to land, so, I would walk into a shop as a little gay boy as I am, so firm, so fabulous, giving CVNT energy. Yeah, if you know, you know. Like giving that energy, giving that feminine energy which is in me, I can be masculine. I mean, I really love playing with everything that I have on my plate. I'm not scared. So I really play with it. I get into a shop, I get into a place, having my long nails on, having my skinny jeans on, having my skinny verse on, having my just showing the feminine energy inside of me, which I do love as much as I love my masculine energy, So I walk into this shop, I walk into this place. There's a group of people, both males and females, and mostly surprising, even gay men are also present there. And all of these people are so confused. And don't get me wrong, don't mistake me because when I say this, I walk in and people get so confused because I look so CUNT. I look so good. I look so, I look so, I look so good. And it really scares the ego, which plays small in them, number one. And it scares the ego in them, which is really identified with the masculine energy. Because this is the thing. I walk in and it's like, who is he? What is he doing? Because guess what? In this civilization, in this society that we live in, it's male dominated. And then now, for you to show any feminine traits, it's like an it's like an act of treason. It's like, we know. I mean, I can talk about Uganda. I can talk about Russia. I can talk about North Korea. I can talk about Zimbabwe. I can talk about all of this. I can even talk about Botswana. All of these countries which have laws which discriminate, incriminate, which oppress gay men, which oppress gay people, which oppress any act of femininity. I mean, it has always happened back in the days. It still shocks me to this day when I was really reading the Netflix documentary and I learned, oh, okay. So females just started actually voting like some teeny bitty years ago. A female was not really supposed to be, they were not allowed to vote. Females, like I said when I was reading the book, they were reduced to the status of being at home, children bearers, and men's property. Only men were made or given the opportunity to actually take rule, to be leaders of the church, leaders of theirs, leaders of the family, leaders, because the feminine principle has already been suppressed by the ego, and the ego possessed males, and males were superior um, before females, and some females really took it, and it was like, yes. And then now the uprising of female rights protests and everything, which led to the successful uh elevation of the feminine principle. Therefore, the females were allowed to now get into jobs, vote, become church leaders, to become this and be seen as equal to men, which is not really there. I mean, as a civilization, we think we have really gone so far. We think because, oh, we have the technology, we have the phones, we have the iPhones, we have the social media, we have the cars, we have this, we can fly to the moon. We think that our civilization has gone so far, but I mean, that is just superficial. It's on the surface. X-ray eyes on the situation. Honey. We are still really, if anything, we're just one step ahead. We took one step. Oh, we took two steps forward, and then we took three steps back. You know, because some males still feel like women don't deserve it. I have male friends who really um look down on women, and I'm like, oh, okay, now I know that you're not my friend. Bye. I still see those things. It's like so crazy. I have people who are there's males who I thought they could be my role models, and they are so identified with that ego that they bring down women. It's like women cannot do this, and it's like, oh my god. So we still haven't really done anything. We haven't really moved any further as a civilization. If anything, the ego has really, really, really stepped forward, but really, us as a civilization, we haven't really done anything which is different from what we were doing back then, because women are still looked down upon, and not only by the men but also by other women looking down on other women. But then now it has also transpired into the gay community, because gay men who are feminine are like, I'm not feminine. I don't date feminine boys. Yes. So back to what I was saying. I get into this shop, and people get so confused, and it's like, what is happening? You know, what are you doing? You have nails on, and it's listen. This is the thing. Like I say, these people are just unconscious. It was never personal. It was never personal. I know it now. So it doesn't. It hurts me, but I don't go to bed sleeping on it. I step out of that door, and then I go, oh, I have to just remember it was never personal. I know. Even if I get into the shop, and then the man is like saying some nasty thing. I thought, they make a joke, they laugh, and it's like, oh, okay. Hmm. Who knew? But okay, I know what is going on. It's fine. They're just afraid. And if anything, I don't have to react to them. Because if I do react to them, it's like reacting to a wall. A wall doesn't, it's a wall. I cannot really get anything through a wall. I have to really react to the person. And the person is the inner child inside of a man who's actually saying, "Hey, can you let me out, please? I want to be myself." Because they just don't letting me be myself. Because the man is really identified with that. The female is really identified with that idea that a boy child cannot really do feminine stuff, because the female herself has suppressed the feminine trait, which I as a gay man am showing, and the male has also done that, because now I am a man, and I'm showing my feminine stuff, and I'm so free to express both the masculinity. Like tomorrow I can go off with my pants on and a suit and whatever, and I rock it so good. But guess what? I rock my heels, my nails so much better than a female does. And that scares both the man and the female, because guess what? Both these parties have actually suppressed their feminine principle inside of them, that energy inside of them. It was never personal, it was just an illusion. Just an illusion. So then now, when I get in, They get confused because, first of all, I was born a male. Rationally, this is what is actually happening. This is the real truth. I was born a male, and then it's like, I have to really identify and protect and defend that thing, that fact that I'm born as a male. I have to do what males do. I don't have to do things that are done by females. But then this is the real thing. What is male? What is female? Those are just concepts, honey. Those are just concepts. That is something that we just came up with as people. Those are just concepts, an illusion, things that do not exist. What is a male? Like, what is a male really? And I like to ask this kind of questions to people, and sometimes people don't really get it, but I never really take it personal. I sweep it out of the rack because I'm just trying to check, can you really see behind the curtain? So, what is a male? Because so I have to really defend an illusion. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to step out and be this gay person that I am. I'm going to really enjoy my femininity as much as I want to, you know? And then now it's like, okay, yeah. Some people are like, okay, yeah, you can just the female is like, yeah, you can just not be male or completely you can be gay, it's fine. But do you feel like you need to really do it so much? You feel like you really have to do it so much that you were scared, you put on nails? Like now you're just becoming a female. You're becoming me. I'm afraid. What are you doing? That's what is happening. Now because I'm also breaking through the box of being a gay person because being gay is just a box. It's like you have to do things that okay and blah. And then now when I sip through and I'm like, no, honey, I'm not. I don't even want to do that. Like, I'm just gonna go through and just do what I want to do. And fortunately enough, but unfortunate for you, what I'm doing is something that you wanna do, but you're not doing, and you're afraid and you're so scared, and you're just angry because I'm doing something that you know you should be doing, but I'm doing it so good. And you're afraid that I'm doing it so good. And you're afraid that you're playing small and I'm not playing small. Now I'm a female. What about that? This is what is happening. It's like it's like I'm we just breaking through the rules, that matrix, the status quo, which says there's male, there's female, and the male is superior than a female. So, why are you trying, Wilfred, to actually now come across as this person who can wake up one day, put on a suit, and you look so good on a suit, Wilfred, you know, like that's who you are. One day you wake up looking so good, you conform to what we are saying is truth, and then the next day you want to wake up all forbazzled, all so confusing, all looking like a woman. You want to wake up putting on nails. Like, what are you doing? Aren't you afraid of abomination? It's like, oh, honey, it was never personal. Do you get, get your head right? You know, check your ego and really get yourself equipped with some real knowledge. I'm not talking about knowledge from school because this is not learned. I don't know. I didn't learn this from school. This is not learned from school because even school are male dominated. You know, yeah. So get some real knowledge, get a book, read, and know yourself. Know thyself. You know, and just be free to actually do what you want to do. Being a male and a female at the same time. Because you are that. Because I am that. We are just that. You know, yeah. And if that is at balance, honey, I'm telling you, you will enjoy life. So I enjoy putting on my nails and I can't wait to actually buy myself uh a 22-inch, where to T as Madison, a 22-inch flipping this thing. Yeah, like I can't wait to actually just express myself and be as femme as I want to. And this is the thing. I don't have to label myself. I'm done doing that. But not meaning that when I meet you and you say, what I identify as a gay man, but I'm having fun with both polarities. One day I wake up and I feel like, I want to put on some heels, I do it. Want to put on some nails, I do it. You know, I want to go balance and just put on a shirt and whatever. I rock it. You know, you see, there's boys who are actually going around with their pants beneath they are bombs and it's like, oh my God, you're so powerful. You are so, yeah, I love you. And females love those men with big arms, so strong. But the real thing is that it's like an interaction between two egos, between two pain bodies. The female who has already suppressed their femininity is just feeling attracted and attracting males who have also suppressed their female or their feminine energy inside of them. You know, you attract what you are alike. So then you're attracted to this guy who's actually aggressive, so man, so whatever. Because you yourself as a girl or you yourself as a boy, you also have done the same to yourself. So it makes sense that, yeah, like poles do not actually repel, like poles attracts. you know, because we are just energies, and when two energies meet, there's an interference, and an interference can either be destructive or constructive, So when you meet an energy which is like you, unlike you, which is similar to you, there's something that in chemistry we call, but it's actually something which belongs to quantum physics. But I'll say quantum chemistry because I learned it first from chemistry. Yeah. So we're talking about this interference, and it can be constructive and destructive. So when you meet someone who has the energy which is alike you, which we call vibes, like, that person has positive vibes, good energy, no negativity or whatever. But even people with negative energies, they do like each other because that is what they fit onto each other. So you would have the positive energy on the upper side and then the negative energy on the lower side. So then when two positive energies meet on the upper side, they become constructive. They build something, they add up together, and it's a positive vibe. And then when you have a positive energy and a negative energy meeting together, two people who are unalike, the other one is like, I'm for the, I'm a feminist. And feminism actually has just been so disrupted, but it means equality for both sexes, for both energies, for both masculine and feminine, not the kind of femininity, feminism that is actually happening right now, which is like, oh, we're just all for the females only, but it's for all sexes. So the other one is like, I am a pure feminist. I'm for both men and females. And then that female actually meets up with a man who's actually for for males only, who's actually male dominated. Is like, okay, the positive person meets a negative person. What happens is actually now these two energies will combine, and a destructive interference will happen. The energies will cancel. So then you lose something. You feel like, oh, this is not right, and then they part away. But then it can happen whereby there's male dominated men, actually males meets a female who believes in male supremacy, who feels that a male of whatever has to be aggressive and whatever, and the female is also aggressive, or the female is submissive and and then the two energies meet, which are alike, they're both negative. They do, and that negative constructive interference, it's fine, it's perfect, positive vibes. It's just that, honey. So be aware of what you are attracted to, because actually you called that for yourself. You created it. You created it. You created it. Yes, that is what I had for you today. So if you like it, subscribe, like, share, and I hope you really do listen these things to the ends, honey, because that's where the fruit is bad. Ugh. And like I always say, it was never personal. It was